everybody. I know I say every week. I'm so excited to welcome you every week, but this week,
especially
for serious, we are having a very special edition of the Dinner Plus Drinks podcast, Halloween themed. Bridget, give us a little glimpse into what's happening.
It is Crime Week on Dinner Plus Drinks.
Dun, dun,
okay?
dun.
If you've been listening at all, or if you know me, I love a good crime story. So an unsolved mystery. Most recently, Crime Junkie podcast is what I love. I watch all of the murder and police shows.
All of them.
All of them. We just thought our new tradition should be every year for our Halloween week episode, it's going to be Crime Edition.
Crime Edition. So we're going to kind of flip the script, get real into True Crime Edition of Dinner Plus Drinks. For all the people joining us maybe for the first time, they're like, ooh, true crime.
Whoa,
I like true
what's
crime. This sounds interesting. We do start every week with a drink usually because...
Why
I mean,
not?
if we're going to talk about murder, let's have a drink while we're doing it. So I'm going to make a really cool fall cocktail. It is an apple cider mimosa.
Ooh,
spiced
sounds delicious.
apple cider mimosa. So this last week, if you watched, you know, I was not prepared for the cocktail making this
not
week.
our
I'm prepared.
finest moment.
So we have 2 cups of
Don't
sparkling
do it over
wine.
Your computer. We made that mistake last week.
Oh, I got this.
Yeah, and it's perfectly gloomy out today.
Oops,
Yeah,
I don't
see?
have it.
Come on, Nick. You guys, if you're just listening and not watching us on YouTube, Nick just spilled like we knew he would. But so step back, man. So it's perfectly gloomy outside. We joked around about putting some B-roll.
1 cup apple cider.
Nick will include the recipe in the show notes. Don't worry.
A splash, 1 shot of your favorite rum, like a dark rum, spiced rum. You can skip the rum if you want.
Look at me.
It's going to be a very weak drink if you don't use it. The rum will add a little bit of the nice spice note, a little bit of smoky note to make it nice and fall themed.
Perfectly fall. It's perfectly gloomy, perfectly fall. I joked that we should record outside today because it's very spooky and foggy outside, but also we'd get very wet because it's pouring rain.
It is pouring rain.
So we're in our studio like normal.
I'm going to go ahead and
Shake
just kinda,
away from our equipment.
you know, mix this up. Stir, 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 stir. You don't need to shake it because it is carbonated, so shaking it would be suboptimal.
If you're watching on YouTube,
We have spooky glasses.
sure do, because it's Halloween. You might see my apprehension, and that's because last week Nick made me drink bourbon.
It was rye whiskey.
And I'm sorry, rye whiskey, whatever. It was Bernie, if you will.
Then add a couple apple slices.
Oh, okay. Oh, snacks also.
If you have a short glass, it'll look really pretty with the apple slices.
But
These
instead,
are not.
we have Halloween glasses.
And then some cinnamon sticks. If you don't have cinnamon sticks, you could add like a teaspoon of ground cinnamon to spice it up.
Spicy.
Kind of, you know, give it a little thing in there. Cheers to Halloween.
Cheers to the crime episode. Well, that just smells like fall as soon as I put my nose by it. This is perfect because also if you know me or if you don't, I collect weird mugs. It's like brings me the greatest joy in the morning to go into my like coffee mug cabinet and pick out a mug for the day. So like I have one that says "Slay Girl Slay," and I always drink that on Monday because it like hypes me up for the week. So anyway, this is a perfect drink mug for me.
What do you think of the cocktail?
It's great.
Not too much?
I'm gonna have to sip it slowly because I'm a little nervous, you guys, and then I just like will keep drinking because I'm nervous.
That's our cocktail of the week. Now, Bridget, so I have to humble brag / also make fun of myself. I went to law school for 1 year, then I quit because I hated it so much. So, but I do have a little glimpse into the legal system. I do have a little, give me the facts type of perspective.
I think you're going to be disappointed in how crime podcasts work.
So let's give me, what is this case? What is the basic outline of this case? And then I'm just going to hand it over to you, and this is your show this week. Go, Bridget.
I wrote a script because I put a lot of pressure on myself because I cannot tell you how wonderful Crime Junkie is. And the hosts, Ashley and Brittany, just do a great job of keeping you entertained. And I'm just not that good, you guys. I'm not that good at telling crime stories yet. So bear with me. And I'm just going to dive right in, okay? You don't even get a background.
I don't get a
the
background?
is part of my script.
Okay.
Obviously, I'd be a bad script writer if I didn't give you a background.
Well, go ahead. Let's dive right
So
in.
here we
Let's
go.
hear it.
So this story was actually brought to my attention by Nick when the Lake Geneva Regional News, our local newspaper, published an article about it. So this was back in the May 7th version of the Regional News. Nick sent me a clip and was like, unsolved murder. So this
is local to Lake Geneva, Wisconsin.
So this is local to Burlington, Wisconsin.
Which is local to Lake Geneva.
Yep, for those of you that don't know, it's just like a hop, skip, and a jump from Lake Geneva Country Meets. It is technically in Racine County, not Walworth County, which you'll need to know as we go through this. So anyway, we saw it because there is another podcast called The Vanished Podcast, which is another great crime podcast that talks about people that just disappear. So they actually came out with an episode highlighting the person we're going to talk about today from Burlington, Wisconsin. So that's why it was relevant in 2020 is the Regional News said, oh, hey, another podcast talked about
when is this case happening roughly? Is this recent or a little bit longer?
This woman went missing in 1989.
Oh, wow.
But it is still she's still missing. So I will say it's unsolved in that there is no answer. You could assume she's dead. You could assume she ran away. Who knows?
If you have information, call Crime Stoppers.
You'll hear more on that later. So the point of a lot of these crime podcasts, like Nick said, is to bring attention to these cases that maybe have gone cold or people are ignoring because, everyone has too much work to do nowadays. So the reason, kudos to the Vanished Podcast who brought this case back to the front lines, like maybe Nick and I who live 4 minutes away from where this happened, we never would have heard of this.
Never heard of this.
Had the Vanished Podcast not brought it back up. So the Vanished Podcast, Crime Junkie, all the other million wonderful crime podcasts, that's the point, I imagine, why they do this. And that's why we're talking about it too. It's great. It's interesting. It'd be wonderful if anyone listening happens to have known anything about this. So you'll hear more on that later. And if you have any tips, we'll tell you what to do towards the end.
All right, so lay this out. What's the backstory? What is the backstory? And can we just have a case name that we can refer to this as?
Well, it would be her name, probably.
What's her name?
Let me read my script.
I just want to know, is this the Billy the Kid case, or what type of case is this?
On December 6th, 1989, Kerry O'Brien-Krueger went missing. She was 31, so just a little bit younger than me. Well, younger than Nick.
Thanks, Bridget.
All right. So the night of December 5th, Kerry told her husband that she got a call from a coworker who was unable to make a work trip the next day. And
where'd she work?
Gander Mountain.
Ooh.
Yes.
Hunt.
So,
fish.
So this coworker asked if Kerry would take her place, and she would have to catch a flight early the next morning to go to a trade show in Wyoming.
Okay. Well, and Gander Mountain was right down the road in Bristol, right?
It's in Wilmot.
Yep, yeah. They had a huge store. When we were growing up, that was the only place you could get that type of stuff.
Is it still around?
No, it went out of business. They had the store over in Kenosha at 50 and 94. But so let's provide a little context to people. This was a big deal. This was a huge store. There's they had some corporate stuff there too, right?
Yeah. So Gander Mountain was a big deal. We will learn here in a little bit here, but Kerry was very ambitious, had a very successful career. She was always working her way towards her career goals, and she ended up doing marketing and PR for Gander Mountain. Okay. So she was previously a journalist. Honestly, I got to say, she sounds a lot like me. I also I was a journalism major. Guys, I hope I don't go missing.
I don't want you to go missing.
I do also want to make a note here about a trade show in Wyoming. In a previous life, my last job in Milwaukee before I moved back here, I traveled all the time, particularly to trade shows. So I have to mention that I was a little skeptical when I heard there was a trade show in Wyoming. So keep that in mind, because when people...
Jackson Hole, or where are we talking about?
It just, I wasn't able to find the exact city.
She just said Wyoming.
Multiple sources just
Laramie,
reported to
Cheyenne.
As Wyoming. So most trade shows are in cities like, Las Vegas and Orlando. However, Gander Mountain was an outdoor outfitter. So perhaps Wyoming would have made sense for that. So just as planned, at 4:30 in the morning the next day on December 6th, Kerry woke up, kissed her husband goodbye, asked him to take good care of their 3-year-old daughter, Megan, and headed out the door to catch a ride to O'Hare. So O'Hare is the airport in Chicago. She was heading from Burlington to fly out to Wyoming. So as Kerry was leaving, a nearby neighbor reported seeing Kerry get into a black car outside of her home. So,
ooh, suspicious.
This would be the last time that anyone saw Kerry O'Brien. getting into this black car in his neighborhood.
This is all sad now that she has a 3-year-old. I didn't know she had a 3-year-old.
Yep. So she has a 3-year-old named Megan. So for those
Megan's
of you,
my age then, if she was 3 in 1989.
right. So we're going to hear from Megan, not directly, but, we're going to hear from Megan's side of the story in a little bit. So for those of you that aren't local to Burlington, it's a small town. Through a lot of the sources that I read, which was the Vanished
Chocolate City, USA.
The Vanished podcast, as well as a lot of newspaper articles that were in the Journal-Times, which is a Racine County paper. They spoke to, a lot of people did research speaking to the siblings. So she was one of 7 siblings, 3 brothers,
She was
4
Catholic,
sisters.
I assume, then.
She went to a small Catholic school, but a public high school. So again,
St. Mary's or St. Charles?
she's me. I went to a small Catholic grade school and a public high school. So, but her siblings go on to describe Burlington, and we can attest as, it's just a good old small town. They literally said it was, quote, Mayberry-like, typical good old days type of town is how it was described. And,
That's fair.
I think in the 80s,
for sure.
certainly people would say that. So
now it's a little seedier.
Burlington's doing some great things. But yes, it's a presumably very safe, lovely small town. So Kerry was well liked. She, on all accounts from her siblings, she had a large circle of friends. She was very ambitious, like we talked about a little bit. She was always striving for her career goals, and she achieved a lot of them. So, of course...
Did she make people angry because she was a female, and it was not acceptable as much
in the 80s
for females to be ambitious?
Because she was making 72% of the pay. Sorry, that number might be
probably lower
Yes.
in the 80s. Did she have enemies, Bridget? That's what I want to know. Was anybody mad at her?
She had no known enemies that we are aware of at this time.
Well, she could, so we just aren't aware
None
of any.
that we are aware of.
She wasn't on the internet catfishing because that wasn't a thing unless she was on like Usenet or like DARPANet.
I don't know that existed.
DARPANet existed,
yes. In the 80s. And, okay, so she...
Al Gore was around back then. He invented it.
She always wanted to be a journalist, okay?
Okay.
So the paper in Burlington is called the Burlington Standard Press.
Yep.
So anyway, in college, she interned at that paper. After college, she worked for then State Representative William Rogers at the state capitol.
Okay.
So she interned there. She moved to Randolph, Wisconsin.
I don't know where that is.
I know. I thought it was surprising as well, but it was a little jaunt for just a short time. She worked at a newspaper there. She came back home to Burlington and became the editor of the paper, the Standard Press, where she previously interned.
In the 80s, that was probably a good gig.
Yeah. And, she wanted to come back home. She wanted to get settled. And then ultimately she worked in Madison briefly for a little while. And then she landed her role at PR/marketing at Gander Mountain, like we mentioned earlier. So that was a real recap of her career. So her family, just for some brief background, we talked about her siblings, but her family was middle class. They were not wealthy by any means, but they were comfortable, happy, by all accounts, what you'd expect to see in a little Mayberry town, right? So 7 siblings. Like I said, 2 of the brothers have since passed. So all of them were really close. The first 5 were closer in age, and then the youngest 2 sisters were a little bit... they were less so, but they described Kerry as like a great mother figure because she was the 4th in the birth order.
Okay.
And so the youngest 2 sisters, there was a pretty big age gap. So, excuse me. And then again, remember, she had a 3-year-old. And again, by all accounts, loving mother. She would never do anything to hurt their daughter, Megan. Megan was a very happy kid. Again, she was 3 when her mom went missing.
Tell me about her husband.
Oh my gosh, that is next on my list, Nick.
I want to know about her husband.
So
it doesn't seem like anybody has. So you have money, you have ideology, you have sex, and you have what's the 4th? There's like 4 things that you can get people on usually. It's like money, right? So it seems like money probably wasn't a thing. She wasn't a communist sympathizer, so it's not like you could,
money later.
Flip her on that.
She was not a communist, no.
Plenty of fish wasn't a thing, so I'm assuming she wasn't, having some weird catfishing thing.
She actually met her husband at the paper that she worked
at.
So he too worked at the Burlington Standard Press, and actually at the time of, in 1994, it's at the end of my 9 pages of notes, you guys. Her husband was still working at that paper, so. Anyway, lovely little romance there. They met at the paper. So Tracy is the name of the husband, so please don't get that confused. Tracy is a man. They met Tracy when she was interning at the paper. They were engaged once. called it off. They got engaged again and ultimately married. So it was a little bit of an on again, off again relationship. And this is coming from one of the brothers, whose name is Pat. I'm gonna mostly refer to the siblings as brother or sister because there's a lot of names and it gets a little confusing.
7 of them, that's six. Yeah. That's a lot.
So Tracy is the husband, Kerry is missing, Megan is the daughter. So Tracy, the husband, was described by the siblings as like not incredibly dynamic. He was nice. He had no reason. They had no reason to not like him, but like
just kind of like a steady Eddie.
He was just there. Yeah, like he did what Kerry wanted. He was a good dad, but like that's it. You know, kind of what we might say is beige or vanilla. No sprinkles on that ice cream sundae. So let's go back to December 6th. So Tracy, Kerry's husband, was at work when Gander Mountain called, her employer, and asked Tracy where she was. So remember, Kerry is supposed to be going to Wyoming for a trade show for Gander Mountain.
Ooh.
So Kerry's boss knew nothing about this trade show and found nothing about a trade show in Wyoming. And so now immediately Tracy gets this call at work. Tracy reports to Kerry's boss, you know, she told me she's going on this flight. I don't know. So the next day, December 7th, is when Tracy reported her missing officially to the police department.
Also, everybody, we all think there's this 24-hour waiting limit for having to report someone missing. That is not true. If you suspect someone's missing, you don't think that should have heard from them, report them missing right away.
And like the police aren't going to be mad at you if it's a mistake. So please just do it. They have a better chance of finding people the faster you do it. Thank you for bringing that up.
You're welcome.
Law student Nicholas.
You know, it's just report this. Report this. If you see something, say something. I believe the police say that all the time. See something, say something. You're not snitching.
Yep.
You're just helping.
You're just helping. So
be a helper.
So Tracy reported her missing on December 7th after a little bit of
I will say it's hard to remember that Tracy's a dude.
I know. You guys, I had to like review these notes so many times to be like, wait, Tracy, Pat, there's a lot of names. So, but he reported her missing to the City of Burlington Police Department after a bit of pushing from the parents. So,
oh, really?
It's notable that he needed a little bit of pushing. So that's a little odd, right?
Did she go on a lot of trade show things and stuff like that?
Yeah,
where he would have been like, oh, yeah, she goes on.
I read in the Journal Times in one of the articles that it was her job to go like kind of scout trade shows and see what other things. So she was like an advanced scout. Yeah. Yeah. So like it was not unusual that she would be at a trade show, but like her boss would definitely know where the trade shows were.
But for the husband, you could conceivably say, he said, oh, well, she goes on trade shows. And there weren't cell phones. So, you know. No. Yeah, she goes on these trips and I don't hear for her for 5 days. It's
not unusual.
Yeah. Okay.
And you could say Tyler knew with my previous job, Tyler's my husband, he would say, yeah, she's traveling for work, but he wouldn't really know exactly what trade show I was at.
I mean, Sarah had a stretch of like 13 weeks and 15 weeks that she was gone. I was like, I don't know, somewhere out east.
I think she's in New York. So he mostly knew where I was, but didn't know the details because you don't need to. So, something I want to bring back up here. Henrietta Van de Zen was the sweet old lady neighbor, quote, sweet old lady neighbor that saw her, and she was awake at 4:30 in the morning because, you know, she was an old lady, and apparently that's when she woke up. She saw Kerry get into the black car parked out front of the house. So this detail really bothers me.
4:30 in the morning.
Yeah, well, that was when she was going to catch her flight, remember?
See, but if you're flying west, those flights aren't usually that early.
Was it like
because of the time change? Well, yeah, because of the time change. Yeah. Usually, those flights are usually later.
O'Hare, though, remember, like so.
But that was also like there was no security. This 2-hour check-in thing.
I feel like I was 4 in 1989.
Yeah, you went through a metal detector and could just walk up to the gate.
Was that right? I feel like we would like get to the airport 2 hours in advance.
Well, that's because your dad's insane.
No, my dad will roll up 10 minutes before a flight. My husband, however, 5 hours in advance. Anyway, so. This detail bothers me a lot.
Because why? Honestly, that's very coincidental.
This is the only time, this is like pretty much the last time you're going to hear it mentioned. It never gets investigated further.
Why she was watching?
Like, no one says, hey, we talked to Henrietta and she did or did not see her get in a car. It's just that Tracy, the husband, reports that Tracy and Megan, the daughter, they both say in a couple different newspaper articles that this Henrietta, this neighbor, saw Kerry get into the black car.
How old was Henrietta?
They just said sweet old lady.
Like senile? or
no,
like
I don't think so.
Okay.
I would say 70.
Okay.
Like, if you're
so
thinking,
still has her
yeah,
faculties.
They never mention Henrietta having any issues, but honestly, this detail is not paid attention. Like, this bothers me so much. This is the thing that, like, hi, should we go talk to Henrietta?
In law school, we would call this a material fact.
Okay, I'm so glad you're here now.
I hate law school. Congratulations, lawyers, you did it.
Great job. And maybe I'm missing something, but this fact bothers me. So anyway, now Megan, the daughter, is in her 30s.
She's 33.
She's 33. She's Nick's
33,
age.
34.
So she's been interviewed throughout this process. However, she is 3 when this happened. So she's going off of accounts of her dad, mostly. She recalls investigators.
And Tracy's still alive, right?
Tracy's still alive and remarried. Oh. Yep. And at this point, I'm jumping ahead here, but Megan, the daughter, doesn't see any of Kerry's family because what you will see is Kerry's family all thinks that Tracy did this. So here is why. So
Tracy reported her missing a suspiciously long time afterwards. I shouldn't say suspiciously long, but
that's not the only reason why they think he might have done this.
Okay.
So, immediately when the investigators showed up at the house, Tracy was looked at as the number 1 suspect.
Well, yeah, it always is.
It always is. It's not unusual. And later,
which is also why sometimes spouses don't want to report spouses missing because.
I mean, I think about this a lot. I'm like, I would never do anything to harm Tyler, and I would definitely be mad if they looked at me. Like, wouldn't you? So anyway,
to be fair, nobody wants to get rid of Tyler.
That's true.
They'd be like, why?
So I guess if Tyler got rid of
handsome,
me,
he's a great. Yes, if somebody got rid of you, they'd be like,
Tyler.
I can totally see why he would want to get rid of you.
Okay, everybody. So anyway, according to Megan, the daughter, the stories she was told is that Tracy, the dad, or the husband, gosh, this is confusing.
Well, her dad, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so Megan's dad, Kerry's husband, he was interviewed, but Megan's aunt, so Tracy's sister, was never interviewed, just as another character reference. And Megan's grandmother, so Tracy's mother, was never interviewed, yet all of Kerry's siblings were interviewed. So this is a point of contention with Megan.
Yeah, that is.
Megan's not happy with that. But back to sibling interviews, because honestly, much of the research from this is sibling interviews, because she goes missing, then it's a whole bunch of he said, she said, and character reference about this person.
Did they call the airline?
So, nope, there's no mention.
They never called,
I know,
like.
There are some serious, like, things that. And listen.
Okay, I know this was the 80s, but still, people had tickets.
There was
security cameras.
There was a public records request that was denied. So, I did not put a public records request in because, made me a little nervous, to be honest. But the Vanish podcast did do a public records request that was denied. So, maybe there's
denied by
information. Racine County.
Oh, come on, Racine County. What are you hiding?
The cases with Racine County Sheriff, and we'll talk about that. So it goes from City of Burlington Police Department. It goes to a couple investigators, and ultimately now it's with Racine County. So
it didn't go to the FBI because that actually is very surprising. So this makes me think that it might be an inside job a little bit. Like maybe somebody in the city of Burlington.
What?
Because if it's across state lines, which there's 2 different ways it's across state lines. 1, she was driving to O'Hare. 2, she was flying to Wyoming.
Yep.
Usually missing person cases across state lines go directly to the FBI.
What if she never actually crossed any state lines?
But there's great ideas to think. There's good reason to think she would have crossed state lines. If the hypothesis is she actually did go to O'Hare.
Oh, we have more to hear, though.
Cross state lines. If she was actually going to Wyoming. And the FBI is really good at kidnapping.
Most people don't think she actually ever even got in a car, or most people think she got killed between the 5th and the 6th.
She got killed?
By Tracy.
But
again, this is, of course, Kerry's siblings. But
let's
hear a couple of the suspicious things. Here are the 2 theories. I'll just give them to you right now, and then I'll give you some more info.
So he just made this whole thing up. And
so I want to try and, go against this. So theory 1, Tracy killed her.
I'm going to eat an apple.
Okay. Theory 2 that Megan believes. So Megan does not believe that her dad killed her mom. But she believes that Kerry left. It is not unheard of that people are depressed or feel trapped and they take on a new identity, run away in the dark of the night and go. So that could be the case.
That's my first instinct.
But then the person that was driving the black car knows something. Someone knows something.
But what if the person driving the black car was her new lover?
I mean, yeah, okay, but it's been 25 years.
Well,
More
now what are
than
they going to
25
do?
years.
Now they all have
30,
jail time
whatever.
for, you know.
So anyway, those are the two theories, okay? So here is, I of course, yes, like, don't want to think that Tracy killed her.
Maybe she, as a journalist, foresaw crime podcast, concocted this whole thing, and is going to pop up in a couple years and be like, surprise! Best-selling book, rich.
Well, let me just tell you some of the reasons to back up this is why the siblings, Kerry's siblings, believe that Tracy could have done it, okay?
Okay.
Here's a couple things. So Pat, who's Kerry's brother, he's a physician. I believe he's in Waukesha. I know he did some studying at the medical college. He came to the conclusion immediately that Tracy killed her. It was his first thought in his head. It was the only logical conclusion he could come up with. And his gut and what he is saying is that Kerry would not leave Megan, their daughter. She was a great mother. She would not leave her daughter. We have kids. I'm sure, like, I could never imagine that. If I'm going to run away, I might take my kids.
I saw, I hate mice, gotta kill mice. I saw a mama mouse with some little baby mice, and I couldn't kill it because fatherhood has changed me so much Nick. I can't take babies away.
See?
And it's insane, right? It's insane. You shouldn't.
Not insane,
but I'm like I could never imagine. You know, there's things where you'd be like, well, if I had to do this, I would take a bullet for my wife, type of deal. But I'm just like increasingly sad about. But I want to see Simona grow up.
Yes, this is natural and normal. And so they're saying not only and multiple siblings said the same thing. Okay, of course she was a loving mother, great relationship with her kid. She also had the larger paying income. So that's just a
Was there life insurance involved?
So there was no mention of life insurance. That's a great question because many crime junkies out there know, like, hey, you took out a life insurance policy last week and then I'm missing. So there was no mention of life insurance. The brother,
I did tell Tyler, we have a key person insurance policy on you now. So now is the time to strike. It's not even him taking out the insurance policy. It's
next year's crime podcast will be about Bridget missing. So anyway,
Tyler, tell the truth. Did you kill your wife? Nope. No, I did not.
Pat, the brother's theory was just like that Tracy's story was illogical. Like randomly a coworker called the night before and like she had to get on a flight at 4. And like, that is a little like,
I will say to me,
80s.
The two hypotheses that immediately spring to mind are she wanted out of this life.
Yep.
She wanted, and she just made it up. She had a very clear, now I can log onto Sarah's phone and see where she's at.
I mean,
she can do the same to me, but back then you couldn't. So she just wanted out.
Right.
The other ones, he killed her.
Yeah, those are the two theories. So,
I mean, those are the only two things. It's not like there's not.
Yeah, well, okay,
I mean, somebody could have like killed her en route, but.
There is one other theory. Stand by for that. So just
why did no one call the
airline? Well, to me, it's pretty clear she'd never got on a flight to Wyoming.
But why don't you rule that out?
You're right. If she's running away, she's probably not going to say, like, I'm going to Wyoming.
Call all the area airports.
Okay, well, Nick is in charge of the investigation.
This isn't rocket science.
Okay, so another notable thing, which when I first read this, I was like, who the heck cares? Well, it comes into play, of course. Apparently, Kerry had some GI issues. So, she was trying to figure out, maybe
she's going to Canada for treatment.
Getting diarrhea and getting dizzy and flu-like symptoms. Pretty often, it would knock her out for days away from work. So, when Gander Mountain called Terry, his first inclination was like, oh, is she have her sickness again? So she's down for the count, And it turns out, no, she's missing. But it was a well-known thing, with her employer, her family. Everyone knew she was struggling with these GI issues. So
sounds like cancer.
Or poisoning.
No.
So this was a far-fetched theory that the siblings, put together. They were like, it wasn't their first thought, but they were like, gosh, so she had been going to these appointments and seeing specialists. She ended up seeing the chair of the department at the Medical College of Wisconsin after presumably being referred there from her physician in Burlington. And they're like, well, so the brother, Pat, who's a physician, he asked the chair of the department, after she went missing, could it be possible that he was poisoning her for a while and this is affecting her? And I guess the chair never got back to him. So it's probably
that doesn't
not.
Sound like poison.
Yeah, it's probably not. But it was an interesting theory that perhaps came out of it, right? So anyway, we've filed the missing persons report. Great. So according to one of the detectives that was working on the case, Tracy had used this same story to get out of his own work things. So like same story, meaning a Wyoming
Was there
trade
lead
show.
paint in their house?
I don't know, man. She could have gotten a GI sickness from that.
I don't know.
So did you hear this important thing I just said to you?
Yeah, he was using the same excuse.
Yes. How many trade shows are in Wyoming, and how many times, not once, but 2 other times he got out of work things from using this same story about like his own work things. So that happened. Additionally, the sisters, one of Kerry's sisters said she left like her brand new makeup and her curling iron and some hairspray, which like, okay, you could say
you could take those on the plane back then. There was no reason to leave them behind.
Yeah, but or maybe she just was like, I don't need my curling iron. This is a work thing. I'm gonna wear my hair in a bun all day. Okay. I don't know.
Trade show back in the 80s. The hot chicks on
on the trade show floor.
That was a thing.
She didn't take her winter coat. She left supposedly at that when she kissed her husband goodbye at 4:30 in the morning. She had
was
her
murdered.
Like raincoat on.
She
the
was
inner
murdered.
lining.
Change my mind.
So one of her sisters, one of Kerry's sisters, is actually works with a prosecutor's office in Louisiana, I believe. Her instinct said right away, something's not right. Okay. And like there's something to be said for gut instinct. Okay.
Yeah, for
You're
sure.
a lawyer, so a couple other strange things. So I mentioned that she was struggling with the GI stuff. She had some abnormal blood work that the GI specialists were working through, et cetera, et cetera. But Tracy had also done a weird thing with purchasing a truck. So I know, like, what is this crap? So the weekend before they went missing, he pulled out a loan with both of their names.
Okay.
With both of their names on it for this truck. And they were like, the siblings were like, this is not her signature. She would never sign on a loan when they didn't say they were having money troubles, but like Kerry was notoriously frugal because she's me.
Yep.
So she was frugal. She wouldn't be spending $15,000, and it was a $15,000 truck. She would not.
Oh my God! In 1989,
right? It was like a brand new Ford something.
Oh my God!
So that was an odd thing.
So suspicious.
A few weeks after she disappeared, her parents received a couple odd packages in the mail, and I think probably this is just like people, like sick people who like to screw with families, because they got a severed finger with blood in a box in the mail. They also got a CD from a subscription service that they had not subscribed to, and it was a Guns N' Roses song called I Used to Love Her. And they played a quote that said, I used to love her, but I had to kill her. She drove me nuts. She's buried in my backyard. And so this is a clip, and apparently this exact CD and clip has been used as evidence in many murder trials previously where like a significant other has been murdered. So this...
Is it a serial killer?
Like, to me, no, this is just like some copycat.
Did they look at the backyard?
Thriller. So no, they did not.
What the heck are you doing, Racine County?
I almost just confused this story with like a Crime Junkie episode I'm listening to, which is completely unrelated.
Okay, so are there any other relevant facts we need to know before we dig into the investigation? Because we are going to take a little break.
Okay.
And share something even more important than this, but...
More important, you're right.
Any other relevant facts?
One other thing that we're missing here is, according to a couple sources, there is an acquaintance of Kerry. So it's a friend of Kerry's lover, boyfriend, I don't know, who has had some trouble with the law in the past.
Ooh, a bad boy.
And like bad things with women. So apparently this person, like this is the third kind of far-fetched theory, that this person involved could have murdered her somehow randomly for whatever reason and hidden her somewhere. So there is that person. I couldn't find a ton of information on this person. I lied. There's 2 other things. So like this is the acquaintance theory. So Megan, the daughter, firmly believes that her mom just like needed to escape this life. And I'll give you a little more background on that when we come back. But there's also a theory that she mentioned, like it could have been this acquaintance that disappeared her mom. So there's that, okay?
There's a word in Spanish for that.
And
Desaparecido.
The last thing to know before we take a break. Tracy took a polygraph, okay? The obvious question, I can't believe you didn't ask. It
Polygraphs are worthless.
Was inconclusive, right?
Yeah, polygraphs are worthless.
So he took it about a month after she was
missing.
missing.
Did the FBI do it, or did like...
No, the FBI is never mentioned in any of the research
it's
I found.
worthless.
So, but he was scheduled to do a second one because it was inconclusive. The day before he was supposed to do that, he had an incident at work, and he passed out, and maybe hit his head. But when he came to, he suddenly had no memory of the last 10 years of his life. Literally, I can't make this up. This is what he said. And it's a clinical diagnosis, so they had to back off about the lie detector. So those two things you guys need to know. Mull over that while we take a quick break.
Hey guys, we're back. And we're back with a really important segment. It's
Really?
a seasonal segment.
Yes.
We've actually had a lot of feedback about people enjoying this portion of the podcast, which is Bridget's fantasy update.
That's
and
right.
no, it's not murdering her spouse.
That's right.
It is fantasy football. Bridget, you were very down on your team last week. You thought that it was going to get obliterated like a body in acid. What happened?
So this is fitting for this week's episode because it was truly frightening. I did not lose as bad as I thought, but I did lose. My team, everyone was on a bye. I had no options. My entire bench was either injured or bye or COVID. Yeah. So I lost, but I think it was against Eric, and
There's no shame in losing, as long as you try.
So yeah, this week looks much better, but I did lose. It was truly frightening. I'm so happy you guys love this part of my week. It makes me want to win more because
We're
have
doing
to tell
it for
you
the
about
fans.
It. I mean, really. Otherwise, like after last week, I was like, I don't care. I'm just quitting this. I'm like, I can't.
Keep it up for
Our
the fans.
listeners need to know. So I lost. It's looking better this upcoming
Yeah, how is this week looking?
Yeah, it's pretty close. So I can't say anything because up until Sunday morning, like games get postponed.
Yeah,
so,
it's so hard.
right now, it's looking good, but it's very close. And so who knows? We'll see next week, I guess, when whatever teams get postponed. So
that's our break segment.
good.
Usually we recommend some products. I'll take a stab at recommending a product.
Yeah.
This rum is delicious.
this drink is so good.
Ron Zacapa, our good friend Chef Nelly and his fiance Chef Marvy gave it to me as a gift. They said, Nick, you need to get more into the rum. Here's some rum. And thank you, Nelly. Thank you, Marvy.
Yeah,
it's a
thanks,
very nice
guys.
rum. I could honestly add just a touch more
Oh, yeah. I actually don't taste the rum like at all in here.
because it definitely has a little bit of spice.
Or,
and,
yeah,
you know,
I don't know if it's what I'm tasting.
but you could add a little bit more rum.
It's really great
You could do
drink.
rye whiskey. I wouldn't do bourbon whiskey, but it's a great drink.
Stick with the rum.
All right, we're gonna take a break, play a little bit more music, get ready for
More crime. See you soon. We're back.
We're back.
Felt like it's a good week for a spooky we're back.
We're back.
So we've got a couple other things here to make you
I'm really
make you wonder more.
I want to know about the investigation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be honest. So there's another hypothesis of maybe there actually was somebody in Wyoming that presented like, hey, we're having this trade show. I hear you're an up and comer at Gander Mountain. We'd
Sure.
like to have you here. Could you come out for this? Here's a ticket. We'll have a car pick you up. Like that could happen,
But
right?
wouldn't her boss know
It's
about
plausible. No, I mean honestly,
it? Hey, boss, I'm going to be gone for a few days.
yeah. I'm not saying it's weird,
Yeah,
but I'm
okay.
saying it's
Plausible.
plausible.
Sure.
Maybe it was like a job offer type of thing.
Sure.
That she didn't. So it's plausible.
Mm-hmm.
That is so. Like if you're investigating, I feel like you should be like, all right, let's start with the assumption that she's telling the truth. She had something in Wyoming that
Yeah.
needed to go on. And it would be so easy to cross-reference flights going to Wyoming
Yeah.
that you could just rule that out in about 7 seconds.
I've got to think.
So if you could just right away say like, no, this flight thing was bullshit. So that
Yeah.
pretty clearly then says,
It's either sealed in the records or. Yeah, I know.
or they didn't do it. So like, do you
Yes.
think the police are like just,
Well, I like to see the good, Nick, and I think maybe it's sealed in records, and we just like. I don't know.
but
the
then why
rules of,
why
like-
would they seal it if they did their job?
You're right. I don't know the rules of why cases are sealed and
I-
unsealed, but
There's no reason this should be sealed.
okay. Well, you want to hear another weird thing?
Yeah.
Just when you think there's not enough weird things. So, after Tracy was hospitalized, after his fall that made him lose his 10 years of memory, there was a search warrant. And so they searched their house and his office, and they found that the master bedroom mattress was missing. Okay. And you know Tracy's story?
Oh my God.
Somehow he remembered.
Oh, he remembered that part.
He got rid of the mattress, but the mattress was nowhere to be found.
What
like,
about
in a
the box
dumpster
spring?
nearby. The box spring apparently was, well, I can't make an assumption, but he said he bought a waterbed for Kerry because, so it was on its way being shipped. So when she came home from her trade show, it would be a surprise because she always wanted a waterbed.
This was 1989.
So, like,
you wouldn't be able to arrange that.
Also, like, where's the mattress? Like, if you did this,
Yeah,
right?
the mattress would have
He obviously
arrived.
killed her on the mattress and got rid of the mattress somewhere. So that was another weird thing. And I'm sorry, I've so many.
Was he a
pages.
hunter? Did he have guns?
They didn't mention that. He worked at the newspaper. They didn't mention his hunting background, but it
A
wouldn't
lot
be
of hunters
unusual.
in Burlington. There
Yeah.
are a lot of. I will attest
Yeah.
to this. Honest to God, it's a very hunting-centric town.
You're right. I mean.
In 1989, I'd be surprised if he didn't hunt.
They certainly did not find any weapons. So a couple things to wrap up that, we've heard a lot, obviously, about Kerry's siblings and, like, all the crazy things that Tracy's saying. So Megan, the daughter...
Or forgot that happened.
Forgot. Except he remembered the waterbed. Megan, the daughter, has been interviewed. So Tracy's kind of done talking. He just wants to move on with his life, like, /
He got
forgot
remarried.
things. Like, yep, remarried. Still living in Burlington, last I was able to find.
Like, quite honestly, I won't hold that against anybody. I mean,
No.
Sarah, if I die, please go find Juan Martin
happy.
Del Potro, get married, love your Argentinian
But he has to
Adonis.
be Argentinian.
Well, Juan Martin is Argentinian.
Of course.
Would you like to see pictures of him? I'll pull some up.
But Megan was saying, like she said, quote, "I think my dad's done with this. I even have my own apprehensions about speaking to anybody about this anymore." She gave an interview in the Journal Times after 25 years of her mom being gone. And it's on YouTube. I'm holding up a little image of it.
Juan Martin.
Oh, tennis player, of course.
He's 6'6", so he'd work for you too.
But not for Sarah. So we'll post this picture too, but just so you see a picture of Kerry and her mom. But so Megan was interviewed.
Oh, this is heartbreaking.
She felt like she was on the phone with the reporter for 2 hours, and she said, "You know what? I came across like super cold in that interview, and I'm not happy about it." So Megan and her dad are both obviously just kind of done with this. Megan thoroughly believes that her mom is alive and does not want to be found. She even said in one of her interviews, like, "I love you and miss you and forgive you. Like, if you're out there, I'd love to meet you or see you again, really." She said someone has to know, someone else was there. So Megan firmly believes her mom got in that car. So yeah, there's that. The less than 1 year in, the police say they wouldn't rule Tracy out as a person of interest. And Tracy, already only 1 year out from the disappearance, was saying he no longer reacts to the fact that some people believe he killed his wife. Like, he thinks,
I get that. I mean, like,
yeah.
if
so
every day someone's coming at you with, "I think you killed your wife, I think you killed your wife," like, you would get
a little numb to it.
Yep.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of different little pieces of this that could go on, but the case file, so in an article from November of 2014, it reports in the Journal Times that the case file is voluminous, like it is on the floor and higher than the desk. So super tall case file. So like this is a mounting cold case. There was one officer, one investigator with the Burlington Police Department that originally interviewed Megan. It then got moved to the Racine County Sheriff's Office, and that's who's currently in charge. The current investigator is Heather Springer. She took over in November of 2013. And I have information for her. If you have any information, you should call Heather Springer directly, 262-636-3367, or email her at heather.springer@racinecounty.com. Or if you prefer to be anonymous and you have any tips, you can call Crime Stoppers at 888-636-9330, and we will put all of that information in the show notes, of course. But there's a lot of twists and turns here. Obviously, to us, at least to my opinion, Tracy looks pretty guilty for this. There's a lot of holes in the investigation that I'm going to assume, we don't know for some reason. I don't know why this mattress was never, found and how far it could have gone. I don't know about this truck and the forged loan document and, this acquaintance that we mentioned that maybe could have done it. I don't know. So there's a lot of holes in the case, but I'm not an investigator. I'm just a very rookie crime junkie.
Yeah, I'm going to say seeing the picture of Kerry and her daughter, with the sailor outfit and everything, it's just heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's super sad.
It's actually super sad. It's kind of fun to play amateur sleuth, but end of the day,
it's still a mom.
Yeah, a little girl grew up without her mom, no matter what happened. I think investigation sounds very podunk.
Sounds a little patchy.
Do you really want to know what happened now? Like, if you're any of the people that actually...
I only want to know because...
I don't mean you. I mean, like, if you're someone that's actually affected by this, this is one of my things with criminal justice, too, is it's like, do you really want to be punished for something that happened 30 years ago?
Right.
Do you really, you know,
I think the
if
family
you grew
probably
up...
wants some closure.
Yeah, I think they want closure.
Yeah.
But also, like, what...
Yeah.
They all have their ideas. They all have their, you know... It's tough. So what's best for the daughter? What's best for the dad? You know, probably the most important person in this right now is, you know, Megan, right?
Yeah.
And if Megan's made her peace with it, and
you're right. You're right.
So, I mean, I got to look at Tracy too and say,
what the heck?
This is pretty sketch.
It's incredibly sketchy. And so then, if so, explain all these things, right?
Well, he had amnesia.
Right, except for the mattress part.
The truck is weird. The car, the fact that the lady saw it. Did they interview the neighbor lady? You were right in highlighting that. You could have done the law school thing. Did you take the LSAT? What'd you get?
Someone once told me I should be a defense attorney because I like to argue.
You could be like Al Woods.
Just like Al Woods, you guys. I will say, with the family being at peace, you're right. It sounds like in 2014, the family was about to secure getting a memorial done on the shores of a nearby lake where Kerry used to like to go and hang out. They had a tree planted and a bench, and so that's great. A nice place they can go and kind of think of her. Yeah, you're right. Like at what point you make your peace with it, and so anyway, if you know something, please say something. But we hope you enjoyed this crazy dig into crime.
We're gonna do this again next Halloween, so
I'm gonna start researching now.
It's gonna be great. Man, it's always the thing that stinks about crime is somebody's a victim and it's sad and it's...
Thank you guys for hanging in there with this odd episode. We still have one more of our favorite things to do.
Yes, we're going to end this on a positive note, and that is... Kid Corner! All right, for people tuning in just for the first time, we like to end the podcast with stories of our ridiculous parenting journeys.
That's
and
right.
Everybody's parenting journey is ridiculous because kids are... Crazy. So, Bridget, you have the two children. You're the one with beautiful Ellie Belly.
Beautiful. And Delicate Lucy. Yes, so obviously this is a Halloween-themed episode, guys. So I didn't even write notes because I'm telling you about Halloween costumes.
Woo woo!
I love Halloween. Tyler and I have been together for so many years.
70 years.
Many years. And
so many
every
years.
year around the holidays, he's surprised at how much I love the holidays. And that starts with
And he's
Halloween.
very thoughtful. So, it's surprising he wouldn't remember this thing.
He's just like, okay, really? Like, calm down.
Bridget, you're on a 13. Could you dial it back to, 9?
But I love getting dressed up for Halloween. It's an excuse to, dress up in a crazy, ridiculous costume. So anyway, we're at this point where Elliot cares about what he is and Lucy doesn't know the difference. And so I'm sorry, I'm trying to build up the story here, but I just want to tell you, we're going to go as a family of Power Rangers.
Oh,
that's right.
Snap.
Like the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. This is especially fun and special to me because
Which one are you, the yellow one?
No. Pink one. Kimberly. I was Kimberly in second grade or something. I couldn't make a decision. Shocking. So I had 3 different Halloween costumes because I had 3 different Halloween things. So I was Kimberly a million years ago. So I get to do it again. Elliot assigned us all a color. He assigned me to pink because
good for him.
He just thinks it's my favorite color.
That's nice of Elliot.
Lucy is yellow. Trina, I think is her name. Elliot's of course red, and Tyler's the blue one. I don't know his name, but
can you get a costume tall enough for Tyler?
No, I DIY.
Is he gonna have tights to his?
I bought.
Or his tights gonna look like lederhosen?
I did. I called him. I was like, "Are you comfortable with blue leggings?" So no, I bought the Hanes sweatsuit from Walmart. $8 for tapered sweatpants and a crew neck. That's what I bought for Tyler.
He's gonna look so handsome.
I think we definitely will post Halloween pictures. We're gonna have to. So we are the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I'm so excited, and we'll just be at Elliot's grandparents. We're just doing a little Halloween party, and yeah, super fun.
I'm not so into Halloween.
Oh man.
I have this thing about dressing up in costumes and if you watch the podcast, I wear the same thing every day.
Every day.
Pretty much, more or less. I would like to express myself with color more and pattern more, but I am who I am.
You wear the same thing, and I literally every Friday I'm like, shit, was I already, did I wear this on camera?
I am who I am. So I'm not so into the Halloween. I don't love candy. I mean, I like candy, but I'm not like, oh, I need a thing.
Yeah, we don't care about that yet.
I'm not really, it's just not my thing. Okay.
I love dressing
I
up.
get drunk every night. I don't need to,
I don't need to do it behind a mask.
I don't need that. But now that we have a daughter, it is so much more exciting.
Yes, isn't it?
And because she is so freaking adorable. Yes. So last year we ventured out. She was like 3 weeks old. Yes. We ventured out with our family.
That's us.
And we dressed her up as a little pumpkin, and it was freaking adorable.
Yes, it was cute. It was cold.
Right? So cold.
I remember her being bundled up.
Yeah, we put a lot of blankets and stuff, and it was great.
But it was a good outing. That was like one of your first outings.
Yeah, it was one of our first outings. Like, she pooped herself like 3 different times.
You're like, yeah, this is how it works.
Got it figured out. So it was a great excuse to make it work. But it was, a floofy pumpkin thing because she was 3 weeks old.
Yeah, and
so
that's what you do.
What are you going to do? This year,
I was like, did you bring it down? It's so cute.
She's a lion. She is going to be a lion. Rawr.
Rawr.
So this has special meaning because...
Oh, God. Nick's going to cry, everybody.
So Sarah and I are Disney people. We like Walt Disney World.
No, they love Walt Disney World. I like Walt Disney World.
And, we like to do the Festival of the Lion King at... Animal World. It's the little show thing where they have the dancer. Oh, you've never seen it? They have like the dancers doing all the numbers from it.
I haven't been to Disney in a long time.
God, it's so good. And we're always lions, and we roar because you have to act. So you roar. So
you have to act it out.
We've taught Simona how to roar.
Oh, cute.
So she goes roar.
Oh, this is a
So
cute
now she's a
story.
lion, and she's gonna go roar, and we'll put it on Instagram, and
it's gonna be great.
We're gonna get all the likes. Maybe we'll end up on Ellen. I don't know.
I mean, could be Lion or Power Rangers. I don't know. Should it be a contest? Should we post?
Well, I'm not gonna dress up.
Yeah, whatever. You have to. Is Sarah going to?
Yeah, I'll put like Jim on my name tag, and I'll be Jim Halpert. There we go.
Boring.
I'll wear gray slacks, a blue shirt, grow my hair out, put a name tag that says Jim. Oh, I'm Jim Halpert.
You guys, let us know if you celebrate Halloween. Do you love getting dressed up or not? Also, send us your pictures. We will post them.
Do you find all the little snots coming to your door asking for free candy annoying?
I love it. Okay. However you're celebrating this year, maybe you made a PVC pipe to slide your candy down. Maybe you're leaving a bowl outside, whatever. Or just like having a Halloween party. I hope you enjoy it. And I would love to see your pictures.
Yep. Share them with us. We love it. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram. Also, if you're not watching on YouTube, you are missing out.
You are. We have some great Halloween mugs today. And thanks for hanging in for our very first Dinner Plus Drinks crime episode. It was fun. I'm sweating a little. So thanks for hanging in. Make sure to send us a note and find us, follow us, leave us comments.
We'll be back next week with our normal episode. We'll have a Pinkies Up wine episode coming up soon. I think I have an idea that's going to be a great challenge for Bridget, so stay tuned for that. Thank you all for listening. Have a great week. We'll see you soon.
Happy Halloween.
Bye-bye.